Yeah, cross seas. Yo, check it out, man. Hey, yo, it's my life, my definition. Hey, yo, I move with a different vision. Here's my petition. Wisdom, wealth, virtue. That's the main mission.
Thought I was invincible driving.
Stop wishing, waiting for them handouts. But trying to take a man's food.
Just one little mistake is all it took, and it got me.
Been drinking tonight?
But I found patience.
Terrible decision on my part, so I ended up getting pulled over and taken to jail.
Any certain tow company you would prefer to tow it? No preference? Okay. Alright, we're gonna come right back here to the car, okay?
Obama says change, but it's no overdue, so don't wait for him. The change starts with you. Hey, you can bang, but that's not me, blood. Run with your gang, but that's not me, cuz yo, I'm a warrior, I'm cool on my own. I got no time for the hype, man, I'm wrong. Hey, you can ride, but that's not me, man. Duck and hide, but that's not me, fam. You see proof of the power of I can. So I gotta stay true to who I am. But self-reliance is the best alliance. Take the time and analyze that success is a sign. Start realizing the compliance.
Alcohol use by youth early in my career, I'm talking back in the middle to late 70s, early 80s, was looked at completely different than it is today. An officer, for instance, had the opportunity, a deputy could stop a vehicle if they didn't appear drunk. They could have them pour the alcohol out, or write them a citation, or arrest them. Back then, I mean, you had options. Today, it's pretty limited. The law states that the parents will be notified if they're under a certain age, and action enforcement has to be done. I got no time for the hype, man. I'm wrong. And you can ride, but that's not me, man. Deputies, while on patrol, would actually be patrolling and watching for any type of moving violations that drivers may commit, whether it, say somebody blew a stop sign, maybe speeding, weaving, crossing the center line, running off the shoulder of the road. That would draw their attention first that there was a problem. It doesn't always mean somebody's drunk, but it does give us an indicator that there is a problem there. So then a traffic stop would be initiated. From that moment on, a police officer would be building their case if they suspected any type of alcohol involved, regardless of the age. But we go ahead and we initiate this traffic stop, and let's say we smell alcohol. Say it's 9, 10, 11 o'clock. We have a juvenile. Say there's 3, 4 kids in the car. And that window first goes down and we get that whiff of alcohol. We have them step from the vehicle. You may go through a series of field sobriety testing where you actually have them do several dexterity tests. And all these things are trying to help you determine their level of intoxication. And if, in a way I say that, but yet it's almost like a slam dunk. So I go through the field sobrieties, say I end up having you submit to a preliminary breath test, which all that is a handheld portable breath tester, and it will allow me to check your alcohol level. And that helps confirm what my suspicions led up to this or my probable cause. And then I place you under arrest. You're subsequently searched, patted down, searched, placed in the rear patrol unit, and that's where your life is about to change for the rest of your life.
Certain moves, cause you're certain to lose if you choose to be too kind. Rely on instincts whenever you're in two minds. You see, in due time, they will get their head straight. And if they don't, well, be glad you lost that dead weight. They say
taken in to the nearest correctional facility, holding facility, such as in Sanilac County, it'd be here to the sheriff's office, where you would be processed through, booked. The dollars and cents start immediately from the time that you're arrested, because there's actually a booking fee that you're required to pay. You're going to spend at least 8 hours here. Your alcohol level has to come down to a safe level before you're even released from here, and you may be released if you're young enough to a parent or guardian. But you will remain here that full 8 hours or more. We've had people that had to stay a day and a half because their alcohol was so high. Coming to jail, to me, is not a great feeling. You're right from the very start, you're going to be searched, and when you go into what's called general population, in other words, you're going to be put in what's called a wet cell to start with, a holding cell. That may involve you being in there with 3 or 4 other junks. It could be involved with being with some sex offender, somebody arrested for armed robbery, felonious assault. I mean, you don't know who you're going to be rooming with during your initial stay here. If you're processed, you would be strip searched, which is not pleasant because we do check oral cavities as well. You're changed out into the jail clothing, so you're immediately identified by your bright orange jumpsuit, if you will. Unless you're in Arizona, then you get pink jumpsuits. But here at Sanilac County, we have orange ones. It's not a pleasant stay. You're restricted in everything you do every day. You have to be up at a certain time. The bed has to be made. You don't know who your bunkmates are. We have to segregate and screen to an extent, but there's only so much that's done with that. Sentenced, unsentenced, this type of thing. There's a whole category of things we go through, but it's not a pleasant experience. You're watched 24 hours a day by a video camera and deputies sitting at what's called a guard station, and they do nothing but view everything you do. You don't take a pee without somebody knowing it. Okay, it's that detailed, and you're watched that closely. It's not a place that I think that, everybody thinks I think that it wouldn't be all that bad, but I've had people that's gone through it said never again. I will never drink again if I have to go through what I went through here. You're fingerprinted, you're photographed, and it's a permanent record. It stays on file 75 years after you die. Your fingerprints and your photos and your jail folder will still be here, held by the county. 75 years after you're gone. It's a long time.
Seen proof with the power of, so I gotta stay true to who I am.
The prosecutor's office comes in once the officers have made the arrest. They've been booked in, as you've indicated, here to jail. They prepare a report and submit it to us. We review it, determine whether charges are appropriate, what charges to issue. We authorize a warrant, and then either the officers can pick them up, but generally in this county, the courts notify the parents to bring the person in, or to notify the person directly to bring them into court, and then they are arraigned before the judge. Either they plead guilty, not guilty. If they plead not guilty, of course, then there's a pretrial conference that's held. We appear, we determine whether or not we're going to reduce the charge or leave it the same. Hopefully we resolve it. If we don't, we schedule it for trial. But if they plead guilty or plead at the pretrial, then at that time the court will take a factual basis for the plea, and then they'll proceed on to sentencing, which has any number of ramifications.
Well, generally what I see are the drinking and driving offenses, and we'll just refer to it as the drunk driving offenses, which is the common name for it. They have to be advised of the nature of the offense, which is operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol on a highway or area open to the general public. They're advised of the maximum penalty, and the maximum penalty for drunk driving is up to, first offense, up to 93 days in jail. A fine of up to $500 plus court costs can be imposed. Community service can be ordered, vehicle immobilization can be ordered. I can order payment of the cost of prosecution. I can order payment of any emergency services that may have been involved.